Drop and Give Me 20 is brought to you by Germono Advertising Company. Drop and Give Me 20 is the podcast for military entrepreneurs. Each episode is around 20 minutes long, giving entrepreneurs a glimpse into the life of other successful military entrepreneurs, learning from their obstacles and gaining insight and inspiration. Podcast episodes focus on the stories, challenges, and wins military entrepreneurs have faced in their businesses. I am your host, Lindsay Germono, and thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening to Drop and Give Me 20. We are well into season 6. I am here with Annie Peguero. She and I met online a couple months ago, which is thus the life of military entrepreneurs. And it's wonderful and fabulous. And it is even more wonderful and fabulous to have her here with us today. I'm going to read her bio from her website, but sometimes you update things and, you're working on different things, but in any event, you guys, Annie is a holistic coach to entrepreneurial moms over 40, BTW. I love that niche. And she has a Facebook group. I was on her website earlier. I need to ask all the questions about this whole like moons and crystals and things like that. But before I get into it, I just really want to thank you, Annie, for coming on with me today. Annie also has a podcast too. So it's always nice to be with other podcasters because we're like, wait, am I interviewing you? Are you interviewing me? Oh my gosh, let's just do it. So thank you for being here today. And for those that aren't listening, let's just get right into it. Give us your background story, your favorite color, all the things.
This is amazing. I love this energy. Thanks so much, Lindsay. I'm just so honored to be here. I love speaking to the military community and sharing this common bond that we all have. I think that it's beautiful and I'm super excited. I think that, it's this niche, right? That you say like over 40 women who, when we are in the military community, there's often this need to reinvent ourselves that we didn't even know was going to happen, so that's my passion. My fire is really helping women feel that fire inside of them and bringing it and helping them bring it to the surface because of all the things, imposter syndrome, like looking online and seeing, oh, so many people are already doing this. And here's me like, good, that means there's a beautiful need for it, right? And just helping women bring that beautiful passion and fire that you have inside of you to the surface so you can make money doing what you love. That's where my special gift lies.
So I have to ask, how did you go from law enforcement in I think it was parks to this? Like, how does that, how did you get there?
It's funny, like, when people are sitting around and asking, well, what did you do before you married your Marine? And I'm like, oh my gosh, do I even bring this up? Because it really, like, people are intrigued by it. And it was an amazing, exciting life, but I wouldn't go back for a minute. I wouldn't have traded. I'm so happy that this was the plan for me. So I was a federal law enforcement officer with the National Park Service. I worked in some of the most beautiful, amazing places in our country: Yosemite, Yellowstone, Death Valley, the Smokies, Acadia, Golden Gate National Recreation. I just got chills. I'm like, was that really my life?
That's amazing. I think it's incredible. Most people never get to make all those places in their life,
Yeah, right. Yes. And when I was in it, sometimes I worked in the wilderness, sometimes I worked in urban areas. It was really just a beautiful blessing. But I'll tell you, when I met my husband, Al, at a wedding halfway between San Francisco and LA, he was in Okinawa, and he flew to the States for some training. And it just happened to be his cousin was getting married to my coworker. So I went to the wedding, he went to the wedding, and by the end of the weekend, he had invited me to go to the Marine Corps birthday ball in Okinawa. And we always joke, and I'm like, "You only paid for half of my ticket. Like, you should have paid for the whole ticket."
That's an expensive first date. What if it didn't work out?
Totally. Right, I know, right? Like, my parents, at the time, I mean, I was in my mid-30s. I did what I wanted, but
Yeah.
they're like, "Are you nuts? Like, what are you doing?" So, fast forward just a couple of months, it was a conversation that we were gonna get married. Like, after this happened in our life, I realized that that's the same thing that happened in so many
Mhm.
military lives. It's not like this beautiful proposal, it's a very matter of fact conversation. Okay, let's get married and you'll get on my orders and we'll
Yeah.
have this wedding over here, and then we'll have a bigger wedding if we want to. And so I resigned. I went back to my park, Golden Gate, and I resigned. And shortly after that, I was kind of whisked away to the Far East, to Okinawa, Japan. And when it all was all said and done, I was like, what happened? What am I doing? I very much
I think I've
handed over.
changed my mind, or maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't know. I need some more time to process this.
exactly. It happened so quickly. And I very much handed over my identity when
You
I
should.
handed over that
Mhm.
badge and gun. And I didn't really realize the impact that that was going to have on me,
Yeah.
and I went from being one of the guys in a male dominated, job, to one of the guys' wives, that my
Oh,
stories
yeah.
it didn't matter.
Mhm.
People really didn't believe that I had this life before I met my husband. And yeah, it was a very big struggle for me. So, when women tell me, I just don't know what to do now. I just don't know how to reinvent myself. I just don't Where should I work? What should I do? I just looked inside and I said, what is meaningful for me? What do I love doing? And at the time, I was like super into health and fitness. So I'm like, I'm going to get my personal trainer certification, right? I'll train in some of the gyms.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fun. I
You take it
enjoyed
with
it.
you.
I
Mhm.
loved it. I loved it. And I used to do figure competitions, so it just seemed like a natural thing to flow into. But
Mhm.
then I quickly realized that fitness and nutrition and wellness have nothing to do with workout programs. Like, it has nothing to do with nutrition programs, nothing to do with workout programs, and everything to do with the way that we think,
Right.
the way
Right.
that we process situations and circumstances in our life. And I'm like, that's what I'm meant to do. This is
Hmm.
my path. So, for the military spouse, the woman who's like, gosh, I just don't know. I'm not sure. Like, it's not one of those things that like just comes to you. You're like, this is what I need to do. This is my passion. It's very much like getting quiet and sitting with yourself and just really seeing what that fire is that comes up in you, and it'll change. Like,
Right.
for me, it's changed so many times over the last 11 years, and finally just flows into what you're meant to do, and releasing that beating yourself up, or I have to be doing this because spouse X, Y, and Z over here is doing
Yeah.
that. Just knowing that you are in the most perfect place on your beautiful journey.
I love this. So those that are listening, when the military entrepreneurial space, so we can kind of position and transition and focus on that. It's I would say it's a small world, right? Like, I mean, you typically have it's like 6 degrees of separation. Someone is connected to someone is connected to someone. So I always love having guests on that I have not met in person, because 9 times out of 10 we'll see each other in person at something in 5 years from now or whatever. And not only that, but like the beauty of being in the military entrepreneurial space is that we all understand each other, right? Like, I know what it's like to run a business when you're not in your hometown or you're coming up to a PCS. And so I know that you work with a lot of entrepreneurial moms. uh, talk to us a little bit about that space. And like, maybe that's just my opinion, but like, that's kind of what I sense is like, we all kind of have this spider web, and we're all kind of there to, we're seeing each other. I mean, we're trying to do our thing, but like, what does that look like for you and your clients that you work with?
Yes, that I love that question, and it's something that is such a topic right now, at least in my messaging. I feel like so many of the moms that I work with, especially the military spouse moms, are feeling like everything has to be perfect, that they
Mm,
have to have everything figured out before sharing an offer, a program, a teaching in the online space, even in person, like whatever it is. I mean, most of the time, people come to me that are yoga teachers, energy healers, service providers of some way, and just wanting to get away from that one to one
yeah,
working, like trading time for money.
right.
And, that feeling of everything has to be a certain way. It has to be perfect. It has to be, or I don't have enough knowledge. I'm not an expert yet to be able to do this. And I'm here saying, I'm certainly not an expert. I certainly was never the guru person. I just
Hate
am
that
doing
word. Oh,
totally. I can't
yeah.
stand it. Like, let's remove that. Let's
Yeah,
just like
total.
get it
Yes,
out of
yes.
there,
Please. Yeah.
right? Like the idea of you are whole, like what you have to share with your community is going to help them. Like, let's not be selfish and keep it trapped in our body. Let's get it out there for people to use to make their life easier.
Do you feel like
So
that being stuck, or is like the common thread of when people come to you, they're like in that space? Like, I just kind of was reading over everything, and you've got a free trial, and of course you have all these different kind of layers, and so I've wondered like, oh, I wonder if it's people who are in a business but they're trying to pivot, or maybe they're stuck trying to figure out what to do.
that stuck
Yeah.
is like a huge word, right? And it means so many things. And I think so often when a woman comes to me and she's feeling stuck, there's this desire to pinpoint why. Like, why
Mm,
am I stuck? It might be because everything is connected. We're not like moms over here and a partner and a business owner, and we're on a wellness journey. Like, it doesn't live, all these things don't live in a bubble. So when we try to come together and, make some kind of wholeness out of it and grow our business or get ourselves out there, and maybe we're feeling a little low in some of these other areas, that stuck energy is going to manifest itself in your business, in your creativity. And a lot of times, like that, we spend more time trying to pinpoint where it comes from than just recognizing it, and like recognizing that stuck energy or that we're feeling stuck and saying, it's okay. It's all
yeah.
right. Like, I'm going to learn from this and I don't need to figure out why. Just going to continue to move forward, messy and imperfect and not following a blueprint, just kind of getting it out there in your own whole way. So yes, stuck. I mean, I love stuck, really. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you're stuck, this is such an opportunity. Like, it's such,
I'm for you.
yeah, I'm like it's such an opportunity for growth, for enhancing your life and your business, and it's just a real opportunity if you allow it. Now you can think of it in another way and be like, oh, I'm stuck. Like, I'll just, what? Like,
Shut
crawl,
down.
yeah,
Yeah.
completely shut down, feeling like you're not good enough,
Mhm.
your content isn't good enough, your program's not good enough, nobody wants it. Like, really internalizing that instead of realizing that being stuck and being in a dark place sometimes is a beautiful gift.
I love it. We're gonna 20 minutes goes quick. I say that every single episode, and it does, because I feel like I don't know, I feel like we just really tap the layer, but that's okay, because I want people to connect with you, and this is airing So first quarter 2022. And I can imagine that's a time where we're just coming out of the holidays and we're all kind of feeling this weird, like it's cold and the sun's not out as long. Um, what would you like for people to know, mainly about where to find you? If that first step, is it join a Facebook group or is it reach out to you via email? Like, what's that? What do you recommend?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking. Right on my website at anniepeguero.com. And then from there, you'll see free offerings, master classes. I might have a meditation on there and a way to reach out to me on social media and to listen to my podcast too. So yeah, at my website at anniepeguero.com.
And she also has a podcast. Talk to us about your podcast.
Ooh, thanks. Yeah, it's called Adventures with Annie Peguero, because I don't just talk about business, because I
Right.
see, our lives and areas of our lives are completely intertwined. So that idea of adventuring in dark times and also the most beautiful times is something that I talk about on my podcast.
I'm going to ask you some fun questions.
I
So,
love
so
it.
first, before we get there, so Annie Peguero, ANNIEPEGUERO.com. And again, her podcast is called Adventures with Annie Peguero. And you can check the show notes for all the things. We'll tag everything there. So if you're listening to this, you're probably a podcast, junkie like myself. So definitely add hers to your list. Um, okay, my fun question. So I don't know about crystals and things like that as much, but I'm fascinated by energy, just in general. So look at our bowl. You guys go and look at this bowl of crystals. Talk to us. If I was just like, I have no idea, but I'm kind of into, like, what's the one crystal I need to have?
The one that when you go to the store, you just can't stop looking at it.
Yeah,
People always say, like, "Which one should I buy?
it
What does this
speaks to
one
you.
mean?" Just the one that you that is calling you, right?
Okay.
And then I just like to pick it up in the store and just feel it and, like, press it into my hand, and if it feels right, then I'm like, "Yeah, I'll buy this," or, "This one wants to come home with me." But I just don't overthink it. I
Okay.
That's what I just recommend to everyone, like, go to a shop, don't feel any way, like,
Yeah, I
accept
don't need to get
like,
the tiger's eye because I'm trying to, like,
you're good.
oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
I
Yeah.
love that one. I have a pendant of it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like just whatever speaks with you. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's like just a warm feeling that you feel when you pick it up. And or you might feel nothing and just think it looks pretty,
Okay.
I mean, that is beautiful too. It doesn't have to look or be a certain way. I know that when I first started shopping for crystals, I felt really intimidated, like overwhelmed, like
There's
I
so
don't
many, and then the
really.
people in the store ask you what you're in your eye. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I just
precious.
say, I'm just here to look around and feel the vibe,
Yeah. Yeah.
just go for what is speaking to you in the moment. And then you'll develop a nice little collection and it's a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad that I was looking on your website and I saw that you're into energy work. Okay, so another question I have, I've started this in the season 6 where I jot down all of these really fun questions that are just totally unrelated to business, but sometimes not. What did you go to school for and get a degree in?
Oh, yes. I love it. um my undergrad is from Penn State and I was a special ed teacher. So I remember in my classroom, this was 2000, and I'm in my classroom and I'm like, "Oh, I am trapped. I'm trapped in these walls. I love these kids, right? I love the
Yeah.
work that I'm doing. I love these. I've been working with kids with special needs for several years. But it just didn't light me on fire.
Mhm.
And I knew enough about myself to know that I've got to be in it. Like I've got to be,
Yeah.
I'm a very like passionate person. Like I have a lot of intensity and I knew that I didn't feel that way when I was in the classroom. And when I decided to go back to school to get my master's, And I still wanted to teach, but I wanted to teach kind of like in the outside setting. But I did an internship with a law enforcement ranger, and I'm like, this is it.
This
I'm a
is it.
cop. And my
Yeah.
my folks were like, what is happening? What is going on? No, absolutely not. But it was such a great decision. Yeah.
All
So
of those different layers add to, obviously speaks to why you're so good at what you do, because you can totally understand, everybody's paths. Okay, my last question. Um so
she's laughing.
what was your first job?
Yeah, a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I was a
there you go. Like,
connected.
lifeguarding is helping people and saving people, so I took that makes sense. I
Yeah.
love that.
Thanks. Yeah, I was a lifeguard and at a pool that nobody swam in because it was too cold. But
So you basically
yeah,
just sat there and you're like, anybody? Hello?
sat there in the sun waiting for someone to jump in with hypothermia. I was ready with my bag. I was ready to respond, which
Yeah.
was exactly what I did for the Park Service.
Right.
Always response ready. And that's what we do in the military,
Yep.
always ready for any type of situation. So,
And that's
it's
what
all
you're helping
connected.
people with in your program. And I love how who knew that would come full circle. Listener, definitely check out Annie. She is, a true light in our community, and you meet people instantly. And we have kind of like a pre-call, and I was like, oh yeah, she's got to come on. And I love everything that she's working on. Annie, I know this is not our last time of chatting as well. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any last bits of advice for our listeners before we log off?
Thank you so much, Lindsay. This has been so fun. You are enough.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yes. That's a
You
good
are,
party.
you're enough.
I love that.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for listening to Drop and Give Me 20. Check out Annie Peguero, Peguero. As someone with a challenging last name, I can relate. And she'll be in all the show notes. Stay tuned to her. I know she has a lot of things that she's working on as well. And we thank you for everything you're doing for us, Annie.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Drop and Give Me 20. Drop and Give Me 20 is brought to you by Germono Advertising Company, and we would love to invite you into our network of military entrepreneurs on Facebook. Just search for Drop and Give Me 20 and join the Facebook group.